We are live. As always, this is for educational purposes only and not financial advice. So yesterday when I was posting and going live and screaming to the mountaintops about a few things, not literally, but just trying to be very aware and tell people the way I was looking at it and the way I was seeing it was, hey, if we break the weekly pivot at 29,566, we go lower. And that's exactly what we did right here yesterday. We broke that pivot and we headed to the downside. We could not reclaim that pivot, 29,566. Remember that number. It will be important. That was our weekly pivot. What are our targets and why down here? We know that the 29,300 area is a major area on the NQ. If it cannot reclaim that today, you have to start looking down towards 28.6 to 28.1. I don't know what it will do by any means necessary. I know that the Iran stuff's getting heated up and there's all kinds of metrics going on with the Japanese yen, and there's just narrative after narrative after narrative, and you can try to inhale all of that and understand it. Or what I do is just say, if we reclaim this 29,336 over here, I'm going to be looking for higher targets, especially up to 29,566. And you can see this just played so perfectly yesterday. And that's why I was so key about that level was if we break it, 29,566, if we break down, do not fight that. And that's exactly what we did. We broke down and we found the bottom down here. That is something that I believe is, let me unmute over here just in case. That is something that I believe is a big, easy play for anybody involved, is to manage this accordingly. Weekly 29,050. We really didn't find much support here. This was overnight. This is about 4:30 in the morning, my time. 4, it broke down, and now we're trying to find some half-witted bounce here, but it doesn't, who knows at the open, which is in 1 minute, what we come up with on that side. I also want to think that the other most important idea that I've been tracking for everybody, all my subscribers, that I've been posting and talking about everywhere I can talk about it, is SMH. What is SMH going to do? Semiconductors, I mean, there's a ton of them that have been sold way down. Of course, they had a massive epic rally to the upside. So to say they weren't due for a pullback would be a little inconsistent, but they definitely had some very large pullbacks. I'm just watching the NQ out of the corner of my eye over there. I just, when I went back on 10 years worth of data yesterday, on the top of my screen, you can see this data that I populate up here. I was kind of shocked, but in 10 years for a monthly closing basis, okay, so keep that in mind and understand that. We have closed above S2 100% of the time going back 10 years on SMH, which I find intriguing to say the least. So statistically, I was talking about that with my subscribers saying, hey, even if we go down here, this is our bull bear line, the 563.42, and we tagged it overnight. This is after hours trading. As you can tell, this was just the open. So overnight, we went down here and bounced perfectly off of 563.42. If this chart finds a bottom, the NASDAQ will find a bottom. If this chart does not find a bottom, the NASDAQ is not going to find a bottom. Okay, it's just the way it is right now. You can tell by yesterday that some of the names tried to be green throughout the day, and it did not matter. The ones that matter are here currently in front of us, SMH. And you can see we're getting a decent push on the Q at the open this morning, but SMH is pushing as well. If this thing cannot take off, these targets in these zones will be, in my opinion, massive opportunities as we get into the month. If we cannot take off and get up past some of these levels now, then I'm going to be excited to buy down here. If we can get past some of these levels, I'm going to be excited to use them as over under for any type of trade that I want to take. Let's go look at the NASDAQ. It tried this area, this 336. The high of that candle was 327. And that's what I mean. If we can't get over that, and we can't get SMH, SMH is statistically, and when I tell you this statistically, because it's a proven fact on my system, that it is near the bottom of its range for the month. Am I saying that SMH has bottomed for sure? Absolutely not, because I showed two examples of SMH to where it went and broke down below S2 and went down here towards this overshoot before recovering and finishing way higher. Okay. That is how you have to play this right now. 563.42 on the monthly. And if you're trying to scale into it and be quicker, you can start playing your weekly areas here as well. And then of course, my daily levels, everything that we give, depending on what type of trader you are, if you're fast, slow, swing, day trade, scalper, whatever you're into, we have a time frame pivot for you and the statistics to support how accurate they are. That's the biggest thing that I can offer you that I don't see anywhere else, is statistical advantage saying, hey, we know that for the month, 100% of 240 months is how many months we analyzed, that we have finished above 563. That's a huge, huge, huge deal. I can't understate that enough or overstate that enough. But if it rolls on over, this is just, to me, a better opportunity to buy, because statistically, why am I not going to buy down here, especially when I have levels to leverage off of? I want to know all about them. I'm not going to fight that, and I'm not going to argue with it as far as trying to understand why the market is not going down or not going up. I'm going to use my statistical advantage to understand, okay, we're towards the bottom of the month. I have a real advantage. Here's my level. I want to buy that. And I want to take that trade. Like I said, this was overnight, and they're really good at doing overnight movement to kind of keep people off sides. But I want to see how these handle and what goes from here. The other thing that's kind of catching my eye, and I've been talking about for a hot minute, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA has refused to go down. Even on that overnight sell-off, it was down like $2. You can see it right here. This overnight sell-off, it was just like, meh, I don't care. When you look at MU overnight, it was like, oh, I care a bunch. I'm down a bunch of money. And it hit its S2 as well. And you can see right here at the open, we are stacking above that. It's hard for me to know what the market's going to do, but statistically, I know on monthlies, we're getting down to the lower levels. That's very crucial to how we analyze and what decisions we make moving forward, because we do not, and I repeat, we do not want to predict where the market's going to go. We don't want to guess, are you bullish or you're bearish? I'm nothing. I'm level to level. And once you get that clearer vision in your mind, you will do just fine in the market. When you start guessing is when you hear people blowing up accounts like, oh, it's got to go up or it has to go down. It doesn't have to do anything. It'll do what it wants to do on its own time. And you will learn that the longer you're with the market. So the quicker you can turn off the switch of predicting and get into, hey, statistically, I know we're in the bottom of the month on the zone. I want to take advantage of that. And here's my level. If it breaks below the level, I know that I am wrong. So We know the two major levels for the NQ today, 336.11. Can we reclaim it? We cannot right now. The high of this candle is currently 338. Can we get on top of this and hold it for support? That is a major, major, major area to leverage against. If you want to be short, you're short here and you're looking for 28.1. And if you want to get long, for me personally, I would be looking for this to get on top and retest and go that way. I don't know where it's going to go by any measure of the product, but I do know this. We are at some major levels that you need to utilize to your advantage, whether you're trying to short or long this market, and understand, hey, if I want to get short here, not a big deal. I can get short, but if it gets over this 336 and holds it for support, I was wrong. And then I have to get out at that point. So that's how I'll be viewing it. We've got the 336 to the upside, along with after that, if we get through that, we're going to be, all eyes will be on this 29,556, huge, huge level. And as you can see, after we broke it yesterday, retest overnight, and then we head on down. We get through 336, we get through that pivot, it's higher we go. If we do not get through 336, 29,050 and then 28,617 would be on my weekly targets, and 28,179 would be my monthly target, depending on how you're wanting to play it, if we cannot reclaim this level. And if it can't, just be aware. Like, hey, if you're only a bull trader, only a long person, you don't even understand shorting, whatever it may be, wait until it reclaims. If not, you have no advantage there. Let me check some other levels here while I'm live. Yeah, the daily levels that I put out last night, the 28,976 on the NQ, those free daily levels. So what I do, I look at the bigger picture, month and week. Then you can scalp down to a day, which broadcasts the whole day. That pivot is for the whole day. And then you can go down to the 4 hour, which makes a new pivot every 4 hours, depending on how quick of a trader are you and what moves do you want to make. And currently, we are running into the daily pivot right up here above our 336. If we can't get above 336, there's no reason to even talk about it, because it's just not going to go higher. SMH has to cooperate. NVIDIA is trying to cooperate. Yesterday, Apple had a good day. Today, it looks like hasn't lost much momentum. It's only down $1. So I'd be cautious no matter what I did, because it is a little bit of a environment that one headline could send a change. I know a lot has been thrown at the market right now. Like I said, the Iran stuff, they're hitting ships over there in the Strait. Trump's out saying things that seem like might be, we're going to strike them again here soon. So with all that in mind, like I said, one headline could really sway how this market wants to act today. And depending on what that is, you could either be right or wrong. Now we're pushing that level, which is good. I want to see that level push, because that just gets us in a trading zone that you can utilize. And like I said, the things that I am keeping in the back of my mind, this MU is down here in the bottom of its range. The NQ or SMH is in the bottom of its range. The NQ is somewhat in the bottom of its range. Last month, there was 3 or 4 great buys on the NQ. They were all around this 300 range at the end of the month. And before that, and I'll just show you, before that was this 28,227, which was last month's S2. That was 2 great buys. And then we had 3 or 4 right here at this 29.3 area. That's the area that we have to get through for this to be aggressive. If it will not, then it is just not ready to do anything yet. If it gets through this area and holds it, that is a very big positive sign if you are trying to be bullish in this market. All right, I will leave you with that. I don't have a lot more to really just simplify this market and cut out the noise. That's what you have to do. If you do not, it will eat you up. We got a VIX trying to break this pivot here for the month, which would be a positive for the market as well if the VIX can settle down, which is the volatility index. And like I said, if you're a new trader, please learn what that is and understand that that is important. Just to have a metric to know what you're looking at. Let's look at Microsoft. Seeing Microsoft's holding its monthly pivot. It's trying to be green. So there's things that when I look through the Mag 7, outside of removing the chips, some names just really don't look, Google looks fine. It's down $3, but it's just sitting here above a monthly pivot that it's been trending on. Doesn't look too beat up. And like I said, I'm just giving myself an overall picture, holding a monthly pivot with green candles on Amazon. Tesla was the one that's been beat up, and it's neutral on the monthly here between two major levels. So if it can reclaim 421, or is it going to head south to 372? I was going to look at Meta. Meta's been beat up a little more and had a rough go, and it's kind of trying to break down below this monthly pivot. And you can see that it's been kind of just chatter here, hasn't made a decision. So those are things that I will be paying attention to just to see if they can get moving. AMD, I mean, these pivots, $500.70. That overnight low was 501.49. It just doesn't, all these, okay, so you put the picture together. Let's put it together. NVIDIA, which we know is a market leader, is above its pivot, monthly pivot. We need a good hold, retest, and hold, and that would look even better. But NVIDIA has decided to trade sideways since June 25th. And what that tells me, one, that's either accumulation or distribution. So you either think people are buying it here or you think they are selling it. Institutions are. I would think that they are buying because I'm bullish NVIDIA just because it's hasn't really had that massive jump that some of this other stuff has. And I think it's going to lead the way up when it's time for this market to go higher. And two, there's probably a lot of options. So if you're just buying calls out here, say 45 days or 30 days as a retail investor, and this does this, the market makers keep all your money. So I would say that's part of what is going on there as well. They're just sitting back, collecting everybody's premium that they paid for options and chopping it. But it is sitting nice. And then we look at MU right off of this bottom S2 monthly level. If it can clear the 958, it goes higher. If not, we roll over. And let's look at TSM. TSM running into some overhead resistance. So kind of a mixed picture right now. If these semiconductors that have been beat up so bad can start moving to the upside, and I don't have pivots for ALAB. Can't remember that other one. SanDisk, what is that? Disk. I don't know. I know it's got some SSDs and N's in it, but anyway, we will see what this market offers us today. My clearest picture is NQ is regaining that level. So that's step one. So that's your new bull bear line, especially if we get a retest on the 336 area, then we can start looking higher. If we peak above and fell, we're going lower. It's pretty simple on that strategy there. And we know that first resistance is going to be this 29,566 to the upside. And that will be resistance. If we see that reclaim, that will be a massive change in structure on our pivots to look higher towards 30,299. But it has some work to do before it does that. So we don't want to predict that. We just want to ride and see what it wants to do. We're to the top of our 4-hour range here. We'll see if it keeps pushing, which is, let me see, 5, 3. We are running right into this overnight low or overnight high area. I marked the overnight high from 3 a.m. And right now that high is 414. So keep that in mind. If that can't break, then we're going to back and fill as well. So just some basic concepts that say we've re-cleared the 336. Let's see if it holds for support. At that point, I'd be really looking to engage in a long side trade. If it will not hold for support, there's no reason to think that this thing has any momentum to the upside, and you just want to get out of the way if it starts heading down. All right, I will leave you with that, and we will see what this thing holds. I will try to jump back on and send out some more notes that, hey, these are important levels. Make sure you're playing them and using them to your advantage. So as always, we will talk soon.